give a little, okay, so recording started. Let me give just a little
Right.
introduction to the computerized scoring things that we have tried. Sam Kamber came on board as a Concours chair, and he really wanted to automate the scoring process. And he's done a tremendous amount of work in this direction. We went in a direction with a piece of software called CarShow Pro, and when we finally were able to implement it, I just about had a judge's revolt at a concourse because it was just so frustrating, because as you're entering the score sheet, it would drop and you lose all your data and you'd have to enter it again. And I would not be able to have judges actually use that software again. They would basically just refuse. And so Sam went away and decided to do something different. And what he's going to talk with you is what we've arrived at now. And we tested this back in June, and it really works quite well. I'm very impressed with it. It also means it was a lot of work by Sam to put this together, but he's basically built all of these scorecards that I've just explained to you in Google Sheets. And so all you have to do is have a tablet and have access to that Google Sheet document, go score the car on your tablet, and it replicates the data to the scoring table. And when you're done, you've got it scored. And it's really quite neat. And so with that introduction, Sam, would you talk through a little bit about what we're going to do at the next concourse with this Google Sheets?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So what Gary says is exactly what happened. We nearly had a revolt at the last concourse where we used CarShow Pro. So I went home, didn't sleep that night, and I thought, no, we've got to do something else. So anyway, so this is where we are now. So let me go through the presentation. I think I've shared the score sheet. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, Sam.
All right. So the presentation will take you through our new scoring and judging platform, which has been created to standardize and equalize the results of like vehicles in the various classes. In addition to achieve as much fairness as possible when judging a vehicle, we've tried to make the task for the judges as simple as possible. As you go through this tutorial, you'll note that the process is designed so that the judges must follow the score diligently. And I'd like to emphasize that. We've used it a couple of times, and in the beginning, some of the judges didn't understand fully that they had to do that. And they said, well, we didn't take any points, or so we didn't follow the instructions carefully. So every step must be taken. Everything must be entered that is required to be addressed. This is to ensure that all required areas of the vehicle have been judged and recorded, thereby ensuring that the vehicle has not been favored in any way, or for that matter, been penalized unduly. The equipment. In order for the scoring and judging system to work seamlessly, a tablet with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity is required. If you do not have a tablet, or this is for our concourse, we have a number of units available at the event. Prior to the event, a Google Sheets folder with score sheets for every registered vehicle will be shared with you via your email address. At the judges' briefing on the morning of the concourse, you'll be assigned to a judging team number. A list of vehicles your team will judge will appear in the entrance sheet. So the entrance sheet is not being shown tonight, but it's in essence the first page of the package. Where when an entrant enters, we just enter all the information. We'll talk about that in a minute. Judge only the vehicles on your list. As you progress through your vehicles, the scores will be relayed to the main computer at the admin table. If the Wi-Fi in the field is weak, you will need to visit the admin table and your scores will be downloaded via Bluetooth. This normally it would be done by a runner. So let's now go to the score sheet. We're going to start off the information on line 2, where my cursor is. 2A is in essence the number of the registrant. 2B would be the owner's name. 2C would be the year of his vehicle. This, in fact, let me just change this. I can't. Okay, it doesn't matter.
And that line's going to be populated by Sam before the event.
Correct. Quite right. Yes. 2D is the model and 2E is the mileage. I need to just see. Okay, because all right. I'm going to have to just do some changes on my screen because I can't find where to change this.
Yeah, you basically had the wrong year down for that car, so it's
I
doing
know, and
the wrong mileage calculation.
I'm just looking view. Okay, here we go.
But Sam, I think you can probably
There we go. I got
explain
it.
the concept without worrying about that. But
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it so that because we're going to just go through examples of the vehicle. Okay, there we go. Now, let's go to the next thing. This section here, columns B6 to B9 are the 4 areas to be judged in the vehicle. Here they are here, these 4 areas. Show class has a 5th area, which is the chassis and underbody. Column C6 to C9, these 4 here, is the total score that can be attained, the total score attained after deductions in these areas. So I'm going to jump a little bit. You'll see here 18.5 in the interior upholstery. If we go down there, 3.5 points have been deducted off the 22, which takes us up to the 18.5. So this is calculated automatically. Column E denotes the calculation that is added to the score to the mileage of the vehicle. So let's have a look at that. In this case, the mileage is 46,750. The calculation there, if we go up here, is E2 divided by 50,000. So that's 50,000 miles per 5 years. Right. If I change this to 146,000, that now changes to 2.93, which you'll see has carried across here. If we go to, let's assume the vehicle has done 246,000, hit enter, there we get at 4.93, but it maxes out at 4 points. So this calculation is automatically done. What we probably will need to do is to check the mileages on the vehicles, because a lot of the entrants don't put the mileage in when they enter, or it might be incorrect. The next line is our age. The age, so we go to the top here, 2024, which is the current year, minus C2, the year of the vehicle, divided by 5, gives me 4.8 points, but we're going to max out at 4. If I change this to, for example, 2010, as I had it before, there we go. We drop down to 2.8 points. So that is all that would be added to their final score. Here we have the mandatory 2-point deduction for the trailered vehicle. We go to the drop down, and assuming it's trailered, there we go. It's -2. Now you'll note that the deductions are in pink. Okay. Let's carry on down to the next slide. This line 10 is the final point scored. Okay. Now let's go across here. We spoke about your judging team. This we need to know which team judged the vehicle. So right at the beginning, when you are assigned an area, a number of vehicles to be judged, and you are team 1, you'll do the drop down and you just go to team 1. There we go. So now at the table, we know that the members of team 1 judged a series of vehicles. We carry on. Now we're going to look at how we actually judge, well, what you're going to see on the judging, on the score sheet. Before you start judging, everything here needs to be and should be in red. Okay. So if we go, I'm just going to do this. So when you get your score sheet, all of this should look like this. Okay. There should be none of this here. So let's have a look. If we go to seats, coverings, and foundations, so we're going to do, yeah. So we're going to judge the vehicle. Let's just close this if I may. Okay, so at that point, we just got notes. We're going to judge the vehicle. We're going to judge the seats, coverings, and foundations. So let's say it's pretty good, but we're going to deduct 1/4 point. There it is. And in the notes, we must open that. The minute this changes from judge to either green or pink, you've got to open the comments drop down. So let's say the coverings, it's dirt. That's what you had there. So now the owner of the vehicle can see, okay, I got 1/4 point deducted for coverings, dirt. I'm going to go down. We're going to miss a little bit here. So let's go to this one here, steering wheel, gear shift, signal stalks, etc. We're going to judge that. Now here, here we're going to take off 2 points. We go to the comments. So we started off at notes. We're going to do the drop down. And in this instance, a comment was not listed. This area here is a work in progress. So from one event to the next, we will have different comments coming up, and this will change all the time. We'll build it up. So in this instance, a comment is not listed. Why? Because the gear shifter was missing. Don't know how he got to the show, but anyway. So that's what we have there. Column E. Now,
Sam, the judge could type that in. I mean, you had it.
oh, sorry. Yes. So here, let's delete that. And I'm just going to play around with the keyboard there. So the judge would type that in, or he could talk into his tablet and it would type in there if it's set up that way. Let's just go back here. So that is that section. Now we need to go back to this, which I didn't do. Sorry. So if we go to dash instruments here and we judge, if it's perfect, there's no deductions, it'll be green. We have to open this up, no comment. So what we're now seeing is that these areas here have been looked at. 0, so it's green, so it's good to go. If there are deductions, you'll see it in pink. So the notes we've done, okay, additional comments we have spoken about. Oh, on the additional comments, one other thing which I must mention. So in this situation, we take off, let's say not 1/4 point, we're going to take off 1/2 point. So in this situation, under comments, you've only got one comment in the drop down that you are able to drop in here. So if there are 2 things that you found, so we said the coverings are dirty. Let's say the foundation is broken. Oh, okay. Got a bit of a foundation broken. Foundation damaged. So in this situation, say you lost 1/2 point. 1/4 obviously would be for coverings, and then maybe 1/4 for foundations, and anything else you want to comment on. So that is what that should look like. That's the additional comment. So when the entire vehicle has been judged, D and E, column D and column E there must be no red buttons in that column all the way down. So say just ignore all of this, but you should have everything should be either pink or green. What we have here, so Gary spoke about notes at the bottom of the paper score sheets. Here, they have been moved up into the into the area that's to be judged. So on the engine compartment, okay, one thing that comes up quite often is the clear lacquer, the cosmoline. Vehicles were sent out of the factory sort of like in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, with the cosmoline sprayed over the engine compartment for protection. That is applied as a factory to the factory prior to shipping. No deductions if cosmoline is present. One cannot get that off. It's impossible. So that is just a note that I've put in here. The other rules that Gary spoke about, you'll find under paint and coachwork, Rule 6.6, 2G, and Rule 6.5. So they've just been brought into the relevant areas.
Yeah, Sam, we have a question in chat, which is good. Steve Rankle asked Sam, do we prioritize the biggest issue in the drop down and then comment on the rest in the empty box?
I wouldn't worry about trying to do it that way because you almost have to enter in the order that you find the things.
Yeah. Are you referring to this? No, the way that the form works, depending, so when you look at what you've
he's
done.
talking about the comments. He was just saying on the
Oh,
comments.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's talking about should you prioritize the comments being the most major in the drop down and then just put the rest, you know, which I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that would be very practical because you often don't find them in that order.
Correct. I mean, the comments are not in any specific order at this point in time. And I think that as we go along, there will be comments that I might have thought are relevant that no one ever comments on it, so we'll remove it. And there'll be other comments that we find that judges are finding, and we'll add it. So the comment drop downs is a work in progress and always will be. Are there any other questions? Anyone?
Let me mention one thing. Judges, when they have completed the judging, should look it over and make sure it kind of makes sense. When we tested this, we had one score sheet, only one score sheet that had a mathematical formula error in it, and the sum wasn't correct. And so you kind of have to do a logic check to make sure it looks right. Because you're probably the one, as the judge that did the car, you're probably the one that knows what the car was like. And, if it says 60 something when it was a really, really nice car, there's something wrong.
Correct. Yeah. But Gary, that happened on that thing. So the only parts of the score sheet are open to the deductions, the comments. Those areas are the only areas that people can actually go to. So for example, where I am now, 13 down to 23, column D, column E, column F. Those are the only areas that the judges are able to work in. The rest are all protected.
Yeah, the only thing I mentioned though is that, for a judge that's used to a paper score sheet, they're not used to even seeing the total available to them. But now, when you're done with the car, your judging team can see the entire total for the car. And
Yes.
you kind of have to do a logic check. I mean, if you just done a really, really nice car and it's not something other than in the 90s, there's probably something wrong with the score sheet. And you ought to go look at it. It's just kind of a logic check to make sure.
Exactly. Yes. We actually had a couple of cars like that, and some of that came about. And Diana, in fact, confessed to me that and obviously I didn't explain it properly, that she didn't understand that at the end of the day, there must be no red in the deductions or the comments columns. It's all has to be, the drop down has to be opened up. And yes, there was one, for whatever reason, the calculation at the bottom of D in one of the categories didn't work. I don't know, but I've gone through that and you know, and it was repaired.
Yeah, and we'll talk through this at the judges meeting as well. But
Yes.
but I wanted to show y'all this. I want to show you how neat it is and show you that also it looks just like the scorecards I went over, except that they don't have as much color on them.
The other comment for the people that that are just seeing this new for the first time about the Google Sheets,
Yes.
there is some administrative work that has to be done behind the scenes. But the real beautiful thing about Google Sheets is that when you're there, and if you're not in Wi-Fi, these Google Sheets, once they're shared with you, will work offline. And as soon as you come online, go over to the admin table, then the data will feed to the Google Cloud that they're stored on. So that is huge, because that was part of the issues that we had with Car Show Pro. If you fell out of Wi-Fi, you just lost connectivity. So this is a beautiful thing, the way Google Sheets works with this. And Sam could help with the administration with whoever might want to utilize the system and show you some of the things that need to be done behind the scenes to make all that